Recording is in progress.
This is Live from the Table, a Comedy Cellar affiliated podcast coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog. And on the Laugh Button Podcast Network, I'm here with Periel Aschenbrand. She's the show's producer, for want of a better designation. We have Dov Davidoff with us. He's a regular at the Comedy Cellar and a frequent guest here on Live from the Table. And of course, there is our unsung behind-the-scenes hero, Miss Nicole Lyons, who does our audio and video. Nicole, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I rely on Nicole for her opinions on the show, because I feel she's sort of an every woman.
Yes.
And so I ask her, I figure if she likes what we're doing, it's probably good. Now, the only problem is her opinions. She's hard to read.
Well, she doesn't like what you're doing. And so she's trying to hide it. So you experience that as opacity, when in fact it is.
That may be. But I think she's sort of an understated person to begin with. But you may be onto something.
No, she's not an easy read.
But you also.
But she's from upstate New York, and that's how those people typically
are. That's how they typically
are.
You got to grin and bear it, baby. You got to get up early.
She's outside from the Binghamton area. Not even Binghamton. That Binghamton was like a big trip for these people.
Yes. No. Such a.
Binghamton's like, well, we're going to the city. And
Listen.
it was Bingham. What's the name of that town you're from again?
Appalachian. But
is that near Oneonta at all?
It's sort of. It's maybe like an hour or so.
Okay, that was the big thing from the commune, the cult my mother was on, is that we would get to go to Oneonta once a week.
That's like a Little House on the Prairie when they would go to Mankato.
Yep. There was a movie house in Oneonta, and
why did you just drop the A?
Well, because I'm trying to make this more interesting. It's just clearly as dull as it gets right now. So we're trying to. I don't know. I think you drop a couple of letters off. You got an Oneonta, you got a Binghamton. What do we would?
And you seem to think that Nicole would actually tell you if she thought it was just painfully boring.
Well, but that's the thing. I don't listen to what she's saying. I listen to how she's saying.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But how she's saying it doesn't seem to vary a lot.
They call him between the lines, Naturman. He can read you, boy. Poker face Naturman.
You know, she says, "Oh yeah, it was very, very good."
Yes.
Then I know that she hated it.
Yes.
You know, it's like when you it's the same thing in show business. Nobody ever tells you the truth. If you say,
it's the way they use the word love, because everybody says I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
You pitch a show to a network, they always are going to love it.
Yep.
They're going to say that. So
yes.
I'm a big fan.
Big fan. Then you know,
big fan can mean anything from.
Been leaving your voicemails for a year and a half. If you're such a big fan, what's wrong with your cell phone? Because I haven't seen anything from your side. If you're such a big fan,
big fan can mean anything from big fan to drop dead.
I hate your guts. I hate your guts. I'm a big fan.
But you have to listen to how they're saying it and what they're doing.
Big fan.
In any case, I want to. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. A pretty big loss in the comedy world this week, in the stand-up comedy world. Gerson Friedman was his real name, I found out. Bud Friedman, at the age of 90, died this week in Los Angeles. Bud was the founder and owner of the Improv Comedy Club, originally in New York. It started in 1963. It had comedy and music, and then he brought it out to Los Angeles. I know, Dov, you lived in L.A. for some number of years. I don't know if you were a regular at Bud's club or not.
Well, certainly I was at the Improv. Yeah, was that Bud's club? Or had he sold it by that time?
No, I think it was. I think it was his until I don't know if he ever sold.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sure. I didn't know that, and I don't think he was there much, because I was.
Well, he hasn't been well the past, say, 9 years or so.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. No, I'm very familiar with the club and the brand. You know, and now they have improvs all over the country, and I think Bud used to be much more active.
Franchise. I don't think Bud owned them. I think they.
Okay, so he sold the rights.
I think that
he was the Subway of comedy.
Yeah, I think that he sold the name Improv. How much value it had? I mean, the Improv. There was a TV show, Evening at the Improv. So I guess that there was a time when the name Improv in and of itself probably did bring some people into the door. I don't know if that's still the case.
Without quality control, what good is a brand? I mean, the whole thing about, when you go to McDonald's, you don't want it looking entirely different down the road with different food, right? I mean, the whole thing about a brand. Is
Well,
the
you're right.
associated value.
Yeah. So,
But what do I know? No one cares.
but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know with like a comedy club franchise, like a McDonald's franchise. You got to go to McDonald's University and learn how to make the burgers.
That's right.
And
so I wondered what
Is that
Bud
a
did for
thing?
this franchise.
Yeah, there really is. I think a McDonald's, you are a hamburger.
Oh, it's a fine,
you
fine
serious?
institution of higher learning.
You have
Oh,
to go
yes.
to McDonald's University.
I don't know if they call it that, but
Oh,
something
the
like
university.
that.
Wow.
Oh,
Because everything has to be the exact same.
Right.
So with a comedy club, I don't know to what
you
extent.
got an MBS. It's a master's in burger science. You go to a McDonald's University.
But anyway,
the
you said you had
finest-
a story about Bud.
I
Periel?
do have a story about Bud. I probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I was writing a weekly column, which is actually how I met Noam also.
What was the column about, Periel?
It was called The Chosen Ones. It was for Tablet Magazine.
Oh.
It was sort of famous and famous-ish or culturally relevant Jews. Tablet's a Jewish cultural magazine.
Oh, okay.
And I had just started getting into comedy, and so I was really interested in interviewing people of the like. And so I reached out to Bud to see if I could interview him, and they said yes. I think he had just had a book come out, and they told me to meet him in a hotel. I think this was pre-Weinstein, and so I said sure. And I showed up.
Oh, my word.
And
and she was a firecracker.
And nobody had mentioned that Bud at that point was paralyzed and in a wheelchair and had a massive stroke and couldn't speak.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the past like 7-8 years, he wasn't,
I
functioning.
didn't know that. Wow.
It was, but I mean, I think mentally he was totally there. But when you have a massive stroke, if it affects the side of your brain that controls the speech, you become paralyzed and your speech becomes affected. It was such a crazy thing to omit from, like, hi, would you like to interview this person?
Yeah, to not mention, to sort of prepare to communicate as best you could, because he could still masturbate, which is really the important part of this meeting.
That's what I found. No, but
exactly, that's the left.
That was the takeaway. Now, luckily, my grandmother had that same exact kind of stroke, so I actually didn't flinch, and I knew exactly how to rock and roll. But it was pretty crazy, and he was really lovely.
I bet.
But not in great shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only interacted with him a couple of times. We did a cruise together. He did like an improv at sea, like this was in the 90s, and I spent a week on a cruise ship with him.
How was that?
It was interesting.
Yeah,
he was quite
in the 90s.
Yeah, we were on the Westerdam, Holland America Line Westerdam.
Was he in comedy then? I don't know much about him.
He owned the club. And,
I know he owned it.
He was also host of the evening at the Improv.
Oh, okay. So he was sort of a performer.
He went on stage, and he was more of the MC. He didn't.
Right,
I don't think.
But
he
an active personality in comedy. Gotcha.
And he had that.
It was where he wore a monocle.
Oh, I remember the monocle. Yes.
Now, was that just for show, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think.
He was sort of a dapper guy.
Either that, or he's selling peanuts.
Now, the classic move. You get yourself a monocle, you sell a peanut.
You know the Planters peanut.
Tremendous branding. Nothing more erudite than the peanut.
I was watching on YouTube Louis Farrakhan. He does like this hour-long defense of Kyrie. Is it
Kyrie?
I always think Kyrie because Mr. song, but
Kyrie Irving,
spelled the same way, but Kyrie.
How does a anti-Semitic guy? Well, I guess of course he's going to defend it.
Yeah,
so you're just not looking. You'd need to hear it from a more legitimate source in that context. But
the point is none of that's the point that I want to make.
Sorry.
The point is this guy looks amazing.
Oh, does he look good?
He's 89 years old, which I didn't realize. I'm watching him on YouTube. I'm like, he's been around a while. I remember him from college. How old is this guy? Like 70? I look up. This guy's 89 years old, and he rants about the Jews like a man half his age.
He's as passionate as ever when it comes to.
I mean, not just that he looks good, but his when he speaks passionately about things that interest him, like the Jewish
hatred of the white,
the white people
man in
Jews,
general.
the energy and dynamism, and you have to. Well, you have to admire that. Nicole, is there any way we can pull up maybe a little clip of Farrakhan? Speaking about Kyrie and Kanye, it's on YouTube. If you just Google search Kyrie and Farrakhan, I don't know if you can do that or not.
I'll try.
Oh, look who's here.
But okay, is he here already?
I don't think so.
Oh. That really threw me for a loop.
But,
That little noise.
Yeah.
Well, all that loathing probably keeps him young.
Well, I don't know what it is.
Sweet, sweet loathing.
You have
I don't
that
know what it-
passion. I mean, we've talked
Yes.
about that before.
Fire,
That if you have
fire.
a passion for something, it keeps you
Yes.
young, right?
Yeah, that could be part of it.
So
I mean, that could
hating
be
the
part of it, or
Jews-
maybe he intermittent
Yeah.
fasts, or I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he had because he's a Muslim. You know, maybe they have a diet that's, or maybe he's just got good genetics. But whatever it is,
People have always undervalued the hatred variable, the kind of the vitriol
a lot of these
in
Nazis,
terms of longevity of a life. I mean, you just talk about love and family. Nobody ever says, you know what's good? You know, you want to live a good long time, really develop a stiff, hatred of a group of people.
a lot of those Nazis lived quite a while as well.
Certainly
So
did.
I don't know if there's any,
did.
we can make anything of it, or if there's a study that's been done on this. But and Nicole, how are we doing on the Farrakhan clip? If
I don't think we can because
Okay.
of the Zoom. Sorry.
okay, but I would tell people to go look just to search on YouTube Farrakhan and Kanye, and he does an now first of all, for an 89-year-old to rant for an hour.
He's got a lot of energy, I mean, look, we're being tongue in cheek about this whole thing, but I think if you're passionate about anything, what we learn from, people, if you have this message, and he clearly does, he's been a communicator for, I don't know, half a century. He's a passionate guy, keeps himself in shape, and he
He doesn't
loves.
look like he's that in shape.
He's
No.
robust.
He's sort of doughy.
He's robust. But to be 89 and you're not skinny and wasting away is in and of itself. I mean, at that age, you kind of want to be a little bit.
Listen, I'm really most interested in how he got 1 million views on that video.
Because people don't like Jews. That's how he got 1 million views on that video.
Right. Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
especially, and people do like Farrakhan. He's got a big following. He's very charming. He speaks very well. He's captivating. I'm listening to him like, then and then I have to remember that I'm Jewish, but I'm like, those fucking, oh, right.
Yeah.
But no, he's very, very captivating as a speaker,
Okay.
and he's speaking to an audience that's very ready to hear it.
Mm.
A lot of what he's saying. So,
Yeah.
there's your 1 million views right there.
It's a lot of views, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if
This guy's
is
been
it a lot of
famous
views
famous for
for
decades.
him is the question, right?
Well,
Like, is it people that tune in to watch him weekly anyhow? Does he get 1 million views every week, or
No,
did
I
it
don't-
bump up twice because of the Jews?
Yeah,
Well,
but he's been famous for a long time.
well, many years.
I'm really just
Many.
thinking in terms of how to generate that for my
Right.
own career.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, you go hardcore anti-Semite. You'll have a you'll have such a following. It's a deal with the devil, but
And he's up on things. He's up on, the latest, what's going on in the world. And Brother Kyrie.
I have an interesting, since people are probably losing the thread. I can feel the audience at home. They've heard about this Farrakhan.
I was about to do my Farrakhan impression.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
And
man.
Brother Kyrie, I say to you, stand strong.
Yes, yeah, that was good. Man does a good impression, man.
Because you know that, and we know you. He's talking about the Jews. He goes,
Yeah.
we know your Torah. And we know your Talmud. And we know you. And you will not break us. And I say to Brother Kyrie, but that's,
That's very good.
that was amazing.
That was very good.
yeah. So what was he saying more specifically? But
What's his reasons for not liking?
because the Jews own the slave ships that brought my people in chains.
That's really good.
I don't think that's
he-
true, is it?
But even if it were, the people that work on the slave, it's not like it was just the Jews. I mean, the white.
Well, he
world-
wrote a book years ago called The Secret History Between Blacks and Jews, where he said that the slave trade was largely in Jewish hands. No, I don't think that is true. But that's what he said.
Okay.
And that's what he believes. And that the ships were owned primarily by Jews, according to this thesis which again, I don't think has any basis in reality.
Right. Not that matters.
But even if it did, if you had some opportunistic Jews that are able to get this boat together and operate those logistics, and generate a business. The people on the other side buying the slaves were white Southerners that with cotton plantations, none of whom were Jewish.
Well, that's with the exception of a few, including oddly enough, Larry David's great grandfather. No, this is true. Larry David's great grandfather was a slave owner and a Confederate. So, I mean, of all people,
Incredible.
of all people, you would say
That
would be the
is
least likely to have a Confederate
incredible.
ancestor.
That is
Larry
incredible.
David would be up in the top in your top 5.
That's
Top 5 least likely to have a
Yeah.
Confederate grandfather. Yeah,
would be him.
awful.
yeah, top 5.
And I guess George Takei would be all
Yes, he would be up there.
would be
Yes,
up there.
yes.
But and others, but yeah, Larry David. So it's bizarre, but
Yeah.
the slave trade was regrettably everybody was in on it.
Of course, everybody.
Everybody was in on it, from including Africans, including Jews.
Well, that's no
including,
excuse. I mean, that doesn't.
I'm not
make it
saying
any
it's
No, it's not an
But he-
excuse,
but
but you're choosing
Farrakhan-
one people to go down to get down on, you know, and you had black people selling other black people into slavery, and then other people capitalizing on that sale. And so everybody seems guilty.
Sure, everybody has blood on their hands.
Everybody has blood on their hands.
And I don't even think his premise that the slave ships were largely owned by Jews is correct, but I haven't studied it. But I from what little I've read, it's not.
Where does he live?
accurate. I don't know where he lives, but I'll tell you where he doesn't live.
Where?
Roslyn,
Great-
Long Island.
Great Neck, Long Island.
Great Neck, Long Island.
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
But I don't know where he lives. Maybe Nicole can look it up. Maybe she can't. I don't know.
I can look it up.
If I had to guess a guy like that, I would say the South. I'm gonna guess Georgia. And I would say I'm gonna say Georgia. I think
Yeah, it sounds like an Atlanta, maybe
like in Atlanta, Georgia,
Atlanta, Georgia.
It's coming
or
up.
maybe Detroit, because I think I think Detroit or Chicago is another, because I think he's with Elijah Muhammad, who I think was from that area.
Big presence used to have a big presence in Brooklyn too, right?
Not sure.
Okay, we're gonna keep playing this game. I like this. So what's your final answer?
My final answer: I think he might have been born overseas.
Okay.
Was he born overseas?
What are you saying?
Oh, I have no idea.
Born-
I don't
born
even know
in-
how Dan
born
knows
in-
this much about Farrakhan. I have no
Born
idea.
in
I
New York
don't-
City.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
wrong
go.
about that.
Okay.
Born in New York City. Okay. I know because I know he used to be a calypso singer, so I thought maybe he was
It's
born.
unbelievable.
in
Why do
that.
you know so much about Farrakhan?
I've
I don't know any
I've
of
been
this about
following the guy. You know, years ago he was like years ago back in the 90s. We're talking
Yeah.
about he was going to come to UPenn where I was a student,
Oh,
and it was I don't know if he ever came or he didn't come. It was a
Oh.
big brouhaha
Big brouhaha.
where like the Jewish students were saying we don't want him, and,
Right,
and a lot of the black students, not all, were saying
right.
how dare you try to shut down Farrakhan,
Right.
and so it was a big thing even then.
Right.
You know, you know, he's been around a long time, and he's been obviously around well before then.
Right.
That's when I first got wind of him. So where does he live now?
Chicago.
I said Chicago. I think Chicago was one of my guesses.
But he also bought a house in Arizona. How many children does he
That's a
have?
vacation
Minister
home.
Farrakhan is a fertile man. I mean, if it's any to look at him, I think he could have kids now.
Yes, he's very fertile.
So he's got at least 8 kids. A lot of those guys have a lot of kids anyway.
He's catching up to Nick Cannon.
How many you got?
He has 9.
9 kids.
Oh, it's a heavy, heavy load, boy.
Ew, gross.
That is a lot of
Yes.
kids. And yeah. Anyhow, Nicole, any thoughts about the show so far?
Well, again,
See what I'm telling you?
I'm
See
the
what
wrong person to ask because I don't know who this person is. I'm like very out of the loop.
You don't know who Minister Farrakhan is?
I do not.
I don't. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that she doesn't know that. Most people, I think, of this generation don't know Farrakhan.
But you've surmised, given the discussion that we've been having, that he is a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is what they call it. What's the name of that? It's like
Prophet.
no, but it's no.
Well,
Like
it's a
black,
Muslim.
but it's a brand of Muslim. I think
Yeah,
I don't know what they call it,
5%er,
black
5%er.
Muslim or
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it. It's not like traditional Islam, I don't think, but it's something. Periel's looking this up.
Yes, their brand of Islam,
So,
as I understand it.
well, I
It's
guess
what Muhammad Ali got involved.
Oh, he was in the
right?
Minister
The
of
Nation of
Tempo,
Islam.
the-
The nation.
Yeah, the Nation of Islam.
the
Nation.
Nation of it. That's it. The
Yeah.
Nation of Islam. The Nation. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Okay, so Nicole, you learned something today.
there you go.
I always learn from this show.
I guess that brings us to, well, first of all, one quick thing. for longtime listeners of the show, you know that years ago, Chris Montella was a co-host.
Yes.
Kristen Montella. She used to work here at the Comedy Cellar. She was a co-host for the first several years of this podcast. I have not seen her in about 5 or 6 years.
Oh.
Big Steve King, who was the security guard around the corner, died. And we talked about this on a previous episode. And there was a memorial service for him around the corner at the Village Underground. And Chris Montella was there. I have not seen her in about 5 or 6 years. I see her. I expect a big greeting.
Oh.
And I got oh, hey, Dan, how you doing? and continued walking.
Yes. Yes.
I was a bit crestfallen, I must say.
Crestfallen. I saw the look on his face.
You know, you haven't seen somebody in 5 years. I didn't necessarily expect. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect that.
Well, you didn't expect a nod, a passing nod.
Yeah.
Hey. There you go. Yeah. Sorry, Leslie. Yeah. Somebody you saw a few days ago on the train.
Yeah. You know, look, I mean, obviously.
Well, how did it end?
That's it. Did she? You know, I didn't.
No. I mean, before that, like, how did she leave the show? Like, did she leave under good?
Oh yeah, I think it was about the time she got married, and she just wanted to move on. You know, it wasn't bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
According to the guy you're asking, according to the girl who gave him a stiff, icy shoulder. But yeah, no, I got you.
Is she still? Does she still perform? Is she still?
She was never a performer. She used to manage here.
Oh, well, you said
and she was on the podcast.
Okay.
She worked here as a manager.
Okay, well, you didn't. That was not clear.
I'm sorry. That was not clear. And she then became the co-host. Noam thought she'd be good on the podcast. She was kind of snippy dippy, as I guess maybe that incident illustrates. But she was a bit snarky, a bit, you know, whatever. And
it was a fun counterpoint personality, you know.
Yeah, and so she was the co-host.
God,
she did roughly what you do. Before you.
Well, I was just going to say, I can only imagine how you must describe me when I'm not around.
How I describe you?
Yeah.
And positive, mostly positive.
In mostly
ways. I don't, in fact, I think entirely positive.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Anyway, so I've Chris Montella's listening, which I don't think she is. Know that you hurt me profoundly.
I'm positive she's not listening.
And deeply. I thought that we had a little something more than that. But
well, why didn't you say? I'm so happy to see you. You were just
it's first of all, that's not in my nature, and I felt rejected, and so I didn't. I just walked out, and that was that.
And with your wounds, I mean, I know. I feel like we're like futzing around here, waiting for.
Well, then we will start. Well,
but let's.
What you call futzing, I call genius podcast.
I want to hear.
Perhaps there's a bit of a linguistic issue here.
I want to talk about the ping pong picture.
Okay.
Dan made a
I was going to get into
tournament,
Chappelle, but we can talk about the picture. Should I briefly? I didn't think it would be used. You were apparently profoundly affected by it.
Yeah, because
to me it wasn't a big deal. But there is a picture.
Wait. I need to pull it up so I can read exactly what you wrote. Because speaking of linguistic twists, I don't know if it was the wording, but this made me scream.
Yes.
With laughter, like howl.
Yeah, well, Dan's very funny.
Well,
so Dan posted a picture on Instagram.
Yes, I saw
picture from 1984. I'm in high school, freshman year, playing ping pong with Mark Lotstein, who was one of my classmates.
Lotstein, Wong,
whilst Herman Huang and some other guy,
Italian last
name, were looking on. I had no idea. I remember actually playing ping pong freshman year. I don't remember anybody taking a picture of it. This picture winds up on eBay somehow.
That is tremendous. I mean, it
says
historic images on it.
Well, this is a very historic image. I mean,
well, the historic Naturman, Lotstein.
You're talking about Lotstein, Wong, Naturman, and Patino. I mean, this is some game.
And then Dan, in the caption, Dan writes, how a photo of me playing ping pong in gym class with @Mark Lotstein wound up on eBay. Only God knows.
I know. As if Lotstein were a significant presence in anybody else's life. No, it's tremendous.
And then I wanted to buy it.
But it's no longer available, I think.
So somebody bought it. Which
or it didn't make the bid, or somebody put it on for $9 million. You know, what was the bid on?
$50,000.
Oh, so sweet.
Somebody bought it. If you're the one who bought that picture, it's probably one of your fans bought the picture.
I don't think anybody bought that picture.
Somebody bought that picture.
And can you tell?
I didn't know it was on eBay because I would have bought it.
Can you tell it's me? I mean, it's sort of a
Yeah.
a
Well, it
distant-
says that it's you.
I know it says in the back. It says the photo.
It probably
I mean,
says
there's
like
no price I
comedian.
wouldn't have paid. How much? I'd love to know what
I'm looking it up. Dan
I
Naturman.
mean, who posts that?
Maybe it was
mean,
in the
put that
local
up?
newspaper or something.
Right, but who cut it out and put it on eBay?
Yeah, I don't know. And why would they? You know.
No, it's
Maybe
the
somebody's-
original image. It's not a. It's
So
It's a
this is
historic
a
image.
newspaper. What are they selling? The newspaper clipping? if
No,
it
I
was in the
think they're
paper,
thinking-
the original photo.
How did you find that?
Because Mark Lotstein told me.
Oh,
Mark
Lotstein.
Lotstein. I wish we could have call in.
Lotstein said, "You can't look what I found. I was looking for like some ping pong pictures for something I was doing, and this
Really?
I just popped up."
But on eBay, of all places,
Yeah,
I figured
well,
it
when you
popped up on
when you-
Facebook
no, when
by
you
way
Google
of,
it,
by way of
you-
Huang.
When
or
you
somebody,
Google it,
know.
you get to the eBay link. But
Wow.
I can't find
Oh, that's
it.
good stuff, boy. That's good stuff.
Oh, here it is.
what? Whoa, she's screaming.
You got
It's
it on-
here.
on,
I'm buying
eBay?
it.
On eBay? Wait,
Yeah.
I'm gonna outbid you.
No.
What is going on here?
Can we show the picture or no, Nicole?
No, we can't. pull
Okay,
anything
okay,
up.
Nicole. I'll tell you, Nicole doesn't sugarcoat it. She'll tell you straight. No, we can't. She's not saying okay. Let me try.
No.
No, we can't. Don't ask.
No,
again.
no. That,
1984 press photo. Mark Lotstein and Daniel Naturman
that's
played ping pong
tremendous.
in gymnasium.
that is tremendous.
The Cellar, interestingly enough,
Yeah, who's the seller?
historic images. 01. Nobody buy this. I'm buying it before anybody can buy it.
Well, but
Oh, I thought we were live for a second.
But
We're not live.
I'm also interested in why the seller and who owns Historic Images. That's the name of a company,
Mhm.
or are they suggesting this, in fact, is a historic image?
I think maybe both. Like
Wow,
his
like,
company, like he
this
collects.
company-
Yeah.
He's a collector, and then he takes his historic images to eBay. And so the great game between. So we're not talking about Kasparov v.
Well,
what
who
Gary.
who'd be interested in that? story?
Exactly. We're talking about Lotstein, Wong, Naturman, and Patino.
It would be a great image on a T-shirt, for example.
It'd be tremendous image as far as I'm concerned. I'm just
Yeah,
wondering
I don't know
what
if
the
the
rest
general
of eBay.
public would be clamoring for that.
Well, maybe we'll
t-shirt.
find out.
All right.
Maybe
listen,
we'll have our first piece of merch.
Listen. You should.
you bid on it? Did you buy it?
absolutely make
I'm-
T-shirts.
I need to log out, but I'm gonna buy it.
And by the way, Naturman's good at ping pong too. He's good at it.
I'm not bad.
Ping pong was like a big thing. Remember, like Susan Sarandon bought like a ping pong
I think
club a
she's-
few.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, she's an investor over there. It's a cool club.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Mr. Dworman?
He's gallivanting around Tel Aviv.
As we know, Noam doesn't need a big excuse not to do the podcast.
He's 3 sheets to the wind,
You know, I
wandering
mean,
his way up Mount Masada.
If
Right.
he has an excuse not to do the podcast, he's not going to hesitate to use it unless we really harass him.
Oh, all right. Well, we can get started,
can get-
and then
all right.
he can chime in if he joins.
Is this Noam?
Oh,
There he is.
Okay. Well,
Speak of
perfect
the
timing,
dev. Speak
perfect
of
timing.
the dev.
From Tel Aviv, Israel, the capital of the world Jewish conspiracy. Or is it Jerusalem? I'm not sure. I think they have offices in Tel Aviv,
Yes.
as well as Great Neck
I believe so. Yes,
and,
of course.
and,
they
and
do.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Noam Dworman.
Hello,
Hello, Noam. I hope you're sober enough to do the podcast. Are you?
I don't know if I am or not. I'm greetings from Tel Aviv.
Greetings. What hotel are you at, by the way?
Hotel Simba.
Simba. Anyway, I hope you have a good.
Thanks for asking, Dan. I'm sure everybody at home is familiar with the name of the hotel.
Well, that's our sponsor. We have to.
Oh, I didn't know.
I
that.
made that.
Oh. I felt.
Is
for that.
Coleman in the room with you?
He's under the bed.
He's under the covers. No, Coleman's not in the room with me. No.
Okay, Sheba Mason, everybody, I will
Thanks.
reintroduce her. As I was saying before, she's a comedian. She also runs a room. She's a producer of comedy shows, and she has and with her is Ian Wehrle. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes. Can I ask a question? Is anyone involved in this media engagement at the moment not Jewish?
Well, Dov's
Hey,
mother.
my mother's
Dov's
Protestant.
mother.
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
not-
And I grew up in a working class
Mm.
environment, so I don't have any
But
of
yes,
the
Ian
Boston,
Wehrle,
Long
Ian
Island
Wehrle.
affect.
But Jewish. I'm Jewish. It's Wehrle, but I'm Jewish.
Wehrle is with her. Are you a stand-up?
No.
Okay. Anyway,
He's playing Jackie Mason.
Sheba is producing and starring in and did you write it? A musical?
Well, so my mother wrote it. It's a
okay.
play. It's a musical comedy with a cast of 8, and it's about her 10-year relationship with Jackie Mason. And it has toured off Broadway. It's been off Broadway, Chicago, Long Island, and he's been in the show for like 10 years off and on, playing Jackie Mason.
And he looks like Jackie Mason a little bit.
And he does the voice and everything else.
And you play your mother.
I play my mother, and I get pregnant with myself. But she wrote all the music and stuff like that, except for one song, which is called "The Finger," which is where he explains what really happened on the Ed Sullivan Show that night.
Well, so where is this playing this show now?
It's at Caroline's. It's part of the New York Comedy Festival.
Whoa.
Sunday matinees at 3.
And
But does he hate Caroline's?
no, I don't think so at all. I mean,
Oh.
no, Noam is very does not mind if other clubs get plugged on. Noam is very secure.
I mean, we're looking at it as a theater, not a comedy club, because it's a matinee.
you
They're
don't
my
have a podcast.
competitor.
And we don't
There
have
are
exclusive contract with
competitors.
them.
Yeah, we would love to do
We'll
it at
come
the
to the
Village
Comedy Cellar.
Underground on
We'll
Sunday
come to the
matinees. Yeah. Village
you remember
Underground is a big stage.
There Will Be Blood, the movie There Will Be Blood.
Yes.
You are my competitor.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I have a milkshake and
That's
you have
right.
a milkshake. Okay, go ahead.
That's right. There's a thing in me that cannot be happy for another man.
So
I cannot take pleasure in the success of another
of
man.
another man.
so do you consider this basically is it an homage to Jackie Mason, or is it,
It
sort of a
is.
no holds barred kind of a thing where are we going to come out of this musical saying that Jackie's a great guy or a flawed man or a deeply flawed man? How are we going to what are we going to think when we come out of this musical?
Well, he's like a
It's like Odysseus. You're gonna say, "Wow, that guy had some troubles, but he had some successes, and look what we got out of it. We got Sheba and Mason out of it."
Is Sheba Mason in the character Sheba Mason is a little girl in the musical?
no, but you see my mother get pregnant, so I get pregnant with myself. But she
Hold
doesn't
up.
crucify him or anything.
No, that's something to say.
Did he say like Odysseus?
Yeah, he compares Jackie Mason to Odysseus.
Odysseus with all right.
Do I have to pretend? Do I have to pretend that I know what that meant?
Odysseus, well, that was Homer's
You were
Odyssey.
talking about Greek diners. I thought you guys knew some Greek stuff. didn't you?
Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that was the best analogy or not, but
Well,
I
he
know-
runs into the Cyclops, Ed Sullivan. He runs into the Tentacula, her mother. He runs into all these problems in his life come up.
Can you get rid of this guy?
The travails, the journey. Sheba, is this cathartic for you, or
Well,
is
that's
it
a good question.
painful?
It's
both?
cathartic. I don't really feel any more pain about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
he died. Was it a year ago? How long? We had you on the show shortly after he passed.
yeah, you had me. I think it was like right after he passed. It was like August 18th or 19th. You had me. So that was like a year and a half ago. Yeah. And this is really a tribute to the life and legacy of Jackie Mason.
Wow.
He's played by a really cute guy.
Oh
And
yeah.
we have people that are lifelong fans of his that come to the show, and they're coming back this week with their entire families. So it's a Jackie fan approved show.
Oh wow.
And do you get?
I
in-
love Jackie.
Do you get into any of the
Tom.
drama where your mother got pregnant with you?
Yeah.
And what was Jackie's reaction to that? Is that delved into?
I'll give him one of the
The,
lines.
the New York Times referenced the song that we used to sell that event when he was in court for a paternity suit that Sheba's mother in real life took him to. And the title of the song is "I Never Met This Yenta." I never met this Yenta. So he goes on and says he denies the entire thing. And then, of course, the blood test proves that it's entirely
Right.
legitimate. He has to pay child support for 27
Oh,
Well,
wow.
she's
Well, it's funny-
sort of
Get into it.
she's sort of like Rhea, the Titan goddess of fertility.
There you go. Now the Greek references
Look,
coming
he's
out.
digging deep. So the song starts off with him like totally denying it, and then by the end of it, he says, "All right, I guess the baby's mine." Oi.
Oh
You know?
wow.
So, it's a real story about real people. So, there's even a song in it called Celebrity Seekers where you see him being surrounded by celebrities and how annoying / fulfilling that can be,
We have a song called "The Jews on the Media."
No, we don't.
Now you do the Jackie voice the whole time.
Once in a while, we bring it up. If we have to bring it out, then we'll do it. If you want to hear it, we'll give it to you. You need to hear it.
Well,
we'll do
That's
it.
good.
There it is.
There's even a
That's
nightclub
really
scene where
good.
he does part of his act. Oh wow.
Wow.
With his real jokes, and can you do that legally?
Now that he's dead.
I don't.
Well, you know it's Jackie's joke, so it's not like he's a comedian stealing his joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
all right,
It's
I
hard
don't-
to
I-
find
I'm
somebody
not-
that can play Jackie
I'm
Mason.
not an
Yeah.
attorney, but I don't know what the legalities of that would be. But I won't.
We have several on our staff.
okay,
It's weird.
okay. But you know, I do it.
This
Jackie.
sounds really interesting.
But you're not the only one.
There it is. Hey,
You're not the
you can
only
do
one.
it too.
They come. I tell you this. What's your name? This. He is Wehrle. He's plagued me. But let me tell you something. He's no Jackie Mason.
There.
I don't know.
We'll have to have a Jackie off. We'll have to have a Jackie
This
off.
man-
Jack
how
off
this
right,
man
right on
makes
this
so-
radio show.
Because quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, how this man makes a living. This Ian Wehrle, he does doing my jokes. I'm not even alive.
So this
No.
show seems to like run, represent the Greek masks of comedy and
All right,
tragedy.
we get it.
so it's
It's,
funny.
it's almost Dionysian.
Almost.
Nice.
If
nice.
Jackie drank,
That's-
drank wine, then it would be
No, this
Dionysian.
stuff.
Wait, so
That'd be something
you've
just
been
no
doing
Dworman.
this for 10 years?
Noam Dworman.
So did Jackie, he was
Hey, Yetta,
familiar
try to
with the
talk it.
show.
Well, tell the folks what Jackie said about the show
No,
in its early
Dworman.
carnation.
Well, in a very early carnation, like
Incarnation.
because my mother is a playwright. She's written other plays, and like she was an artist when she was dating him too, and songwriter and stuff. So she wrote like about her 3 seasons with Jackie Mason. She had some musings about it. some
He would date
prose.
her every time he would come down to Florida, and then he would go back and date other people in New York.
Date her. We use the
Date.
term
He was a
loosely.
real, hound. Anyway, so there was one incarnation where he actually introduced the show, and he said, "I can't believe this Yenta finds me so interesting that she wrote a play about me," and he was really cute about it. But they were still having sex at that time.
Yeah.
So this is after you were like well after you were born,
Before.
obviously, that he was still on and off with your mom.
No, so he was with her for 10 years, and then I was born, and then
Then he said,
then he stopped.
Right, but didn't you but the
This
play
is like
was
when she was first dating him, like the first 3 years. She
In-
wrote a little bit about it.
in the show's current iteration, it's only been running 10 years, but there are early scenes that Ginger, her mother, had written as far back as 30 years ago.
right, but did he see the one that you're doing in the past 10 years? That was my question.
Oh, no, he never saw that one.
But there's a funny story.
He did meet him
That's not the
briefly
funny
and
story.
told
The-
him
the-
that you
the
were.
funny story about the girlfriend.
Oh, he had a girlfriend who was like an Asian girl, and they were in the New York Post because he was
2014.
like hitting her with a phone, and she accused him of cheating on her. But he started hitting her in the middle of the night with a phone. But in his defense, that's the only thing you could really do with AT&T phones. So she actually ended up coming to see the play. At his age, he was still screwing this much
Wow.
younger girl,
Yeah.
or I don't know, attempting to screw.
Yeah.
But she came to commiserate with other people that had been screwed by Jackie
And
Mason.
now Noam's
Yeah.
going to do another Greek reference, as if we haven't enough, as he's made his point.
No, but there is something Greek about the full circle nature of all of this. No, the
Totally.
daughter of this legendary comedian and processing, all of the
That's-
distance,
look.
but also it does feel like there's a lot there.
There's a lot, and I don't know if this is interesting or not, but we also dated for like 7.5 years.
Such a scene.
Ian, where are
such a
you
scene.
from?
From New Jersey.
You mind your business,
He had a
Daniel?
weird accent. I mean, he has a weird.
Well, he's playing Jackie Mason.
Okay.
You get lost in the middle of that.
Yeah, I
Like he
guess.
almost sounds Southern sometimes, right?
It just seems a little.
Well, he's-
How does he
he's
know so
theater
much? How does it, why do you know
He
so much about
articulates
Greek?
words very well. He's trained in the
Thank you,
theater.
Thank you.
Why do you know so much about Greek mythology?
He
Why
mentioned
do I?
one
I love
word.
it.
He
I love
mentioned
Greek
Greek
mythology.
He mentioned 1 or 2 words about Greek mythology.
No, I said Dionysius. He knew his drinking. Like he
I know
he
who you're
knows his.
talking about.
I know Dionysius.
I study myths, man. I study myths. You
Joseph
probably don't remember, Noam, but
Campbell.
I'm also a former employee of yours. 2 weeks before you turned the Village Underground into the Comedy Cellar,
Oh, wow.
I was an audio engineer in the Village Underground. I was hired for
Oh,
2 weeks,
wow.
and then they said we're turning it into a comedy place.
That's set
Well,
about
Well, 2
it's not.
weeks.
It's not.
No,
It's not that.
2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks.
It's not that I don't remember. I
No.
can't
Because let's be
see
honest
you.
about it. He had more than.
I don't know. I have no
There's
idea
less
who I'm
work.
talking to.
There's less work than a competent person does in a day. It takes Ian Wehrle 2 weeks to plug in a thing, and then poof, and it turns into a car. and he goes,
Look at Noam. Look at Noam.
Well, where's Noam smirking at?
Well, because he's trying to get a sentence out.
I'm sorry. Noam?
No, it was good. Dan
You were
got some
gonna
laughs
say-
at home. It was good what he did.
You were going to say you didn't remember? You don't remember everybody that worked there.
I can't see anybody, so I can't tell.
You
Oh.
can't see?
You can't see
It's
it?
dark. It's dark. You see us on the camera. It's very dark.
Well, the cameras are side shots. I can't. I can't. It's
But
so
anyway,
small on
it-
my
it-
on
I
my
wouldn't
little, on my
expect you
little
to remember me.
laptop.
I wouldn't expect you to remember.
Anyway,
You
Noam,
remember
do you have
the,
any?
the Greek
Yeah, go
Greek
ahead.
god of memory?
That's Nemosi, and that was
Oh,
one
wow.
of the 9 muses is of
maybe-
memory.
maybe-
Oh, this
maybe he does.
man knows his
maybe he
Greek
does know the Greek-
history.
Greek
He clearly
history.
does.
Mnemosyr, like mnemonic. I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
Mnemonic.
You got it. You got
I will be
Ah.
darned. It's all coming together. So yeah. So are you still running that room, by the way? The Three Monkeys, I think it's called.
Mhm.
That's your room. It's a bar, but you do shows there.
Yeah.
Two or three times a week or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to plug that. I mean, Noam is not insecure. No,
Well, how could he be insecure?
I mean, when you run the Comedy Cellar,
yeah.
it's very hard to be threatened. by-
Know him as a heavy piece.
Well, mostly I'm here to plug the play,
Okay.
the Jackie Mason
Which
musical.
has an extension.
Yeah, we got extended
We're
because it was so
extended.
busy.
There's
Yeah.
a,
Oh,
there's a
wow.
discount
Yeah.
if you get
Mm.
tickets